Hello, hi, welcome to The One Thing. I'm your illustrious host, Aaron Orndorff, head of marketing here at Recart. We're an SMS application for Shopify businesses, but you're not necessarily here to talk about that. You're here to talk about mastering your 2023 holiday season. And to do that, we've assembled the first of four single day events spread out over now until late October to load you up with manageable takeaways to guide you through before, during, and after what promises to be the most challenging, opportunity-filled Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday season in e-commerce history. Now, we don't even have time for me to list off more than once a round of introductions to all of the good-looking folks that have joined us today for the how to prepare round, the before round for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I'm going to introduce them one by one as they take the stage. But first, I want to make sure we cover a few housekeeping items. Number one, all throughout this, there is a Q&A panel that you should, if one of these speakers says something that sparks your imagination that you've just got to hear more about, drop it in immediately. We'll collect all of those questions for the second half of this webinar and answer them one by one, as many as we can get through, because we've already got about a handful of questions that have come in via email and social, more than we typically get in the lead up to these sort of events. And I think it might just because of this is the big show. This is the Super Bowl, the World Cup, fill in the blank for e-commerce seasonality. So we've got some questions that we've already had pre-gamed, loaded up. Ask your questions throughout as well. But I want to give you our controlling idea, okay, before we jump into all of that. The controlling idea is I have tasked myself and every presenter with giving us a single principle, a single application, and a single example. Now, we've all but broken this rule every single time on the example fronts, but these examples had better be dead set on that single principle and the single application, with the one overarching goal of arming you with at least one takeaway to make your e-commerce business 1% better. We're talking here about incremental gains. So we will have failed you, nay, dear watcher, you will have failed yourself if by the end of this you don't have a note on your phone, you've written down something on a sticky, you've thrown it onto the whiteboard, you've taken a screenshot of one thing you are going to grab and go put into action, load up on your to-do list, or actually put into action today to get ready for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That is the big idea, at least one takeaway to make your e-commerce business 1% better. Now, having thrown down the gauntlet to that degree, I would like to welcome to the stage. Let's make sure that people can hear you.
Hey everyone.
Oranges, Sean McCarthy. I think I heard it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, good sir. Away you go.
All right, so I come to conversations like this from the conversion rate optimization lens, and in that world, we like to get hyper granular and say, move this thing here, change this message, and you'll see a lift on your site. And that's all very important. But what I want to do today is take a quick step back and kind of give you a framework to think about your site from, that within you can do all that texting. So click to the next slide, please. So what we're going to look at is the brick and mortar journey, and I'm going to draw some lines to an e-commerce experience. And so when you walk into a beautiful high-end or even any sort of wonderful brick and mortar store, you're likely going to be greeted by somebody, and they're going to say something like hello and smile at you and say, what brings you in today? How can I help you? And there's likely three paths that you're going to take. You're going to say, I've got to return something or exchange something. You're going to say, oh, I'm just browsing, or you might even say, I have an idea of what I'm looking for. I need shoes, I need a sweater, whatever it might be. What you're really trying to do in that store in that first interaction is say, I've got you. I recognize what brought you to the store. I may even recognize some anxieties that you have about this. If you're a new store on the block, it's your first store, you might say, we got to build some credibility. So My charge would be to look at your e-commerce experience and say, how are we doing that? How are we picking up on those initial motivations and anxieties that somebody came into the store with? A great way to do that is customer feedback, but also all kinds of testing that you can do in that initial interaction. That initial interaction then leads to the second phase of people's journey in your store, which is browsing. So click, please. And so when somebody starts to browse, again, back to those 3 journeys, there might be an easy solution, get them to the place where they're doing a return. There might be the person who's just browsing. Okay, well, how do we serve that journey? People who have brick and mortar stores are spending thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars organizing their stores so that you see things when you enter the store. You see the poster with the new item. You see the sale marker. You see the accessories next to the main item. And so how can we serve that journey on our site? How can we make the search better? How can we make drop-down menus more intuitive? And how can we get those discounts in front of them without being overbearing? We also have to remember that we need to do that in addition to serving the journey of somebody that, or rather, excuse me, that is for the people who know what they're looking for. If somebody's just browsing, we also have to serve that user and say, okay, well, how do we not overwhelm them? We want to use visual cues. We want to highlight products we need to highlight, but how can we balance both of those? And so leading up to Black Friday, better understanding kind of the mix of people coming to your site. Is it a lot of returning customers? There's a lot of new people. Has your brand been around for a long time and you need to prioritize that, building that trust and overcoming those initial anxieties? That can help you decide where that main homepage goes, or your product category pages, or things like that. If you're so lucky as to get somebody through to the next step, which is checkout, click please. Then we need to not just sit behind the counter with a dead look on our face and say, okay, buy it. We need to be that friendly face and say, did you find everything you need? We need to be that friendly face and say, wow, I've been looking at that for myself. That's great. We're selling a lot of those. A lot of people are saying that's a wonderful product, but just in case it doesn't work for you, maybe here's a return policy. So how can we quell any remaining last minute anxieties and eliminate any last minute surprises in our checkout process? Not only making it easy, as you see here with some alternative payment methods and meeting the customer expectations there, but also just continuing that motivation and that momentum all the way through the end of the checkout. And so obviously within that framework of thinking about your site as a brick and mortar experience, there's all kinds of testing and studying heat maps and recordings, and then getting people to the site to begin with, and all the great tactics that we'll talk about for the rest of the webinar. But we really find great value in kind of framing that up for people, no matter where they are in their business journey, to say, hold on a second, just think about this. If you were shopping the store like a brick and mortar, what would you do at a high level to improve it as you head towards Black Friday? And so really the message is to optimize that middle point of the journey. We see a lot of people that are really, really hyper-focused on driving more traffic. We see people that are focused on follow-up. But when it comes to the middle of the site, you can't just sit there and wait for people to check out and hope that it works. There's a lot of tactics, again, within there, but that's sort of the message that we are providing to people on the Lucky Orange end.
What fires me up about that retail analogy is there is never a time when people are more retail oriented, hot from the store itself, and are going to be translating that experience and judging your site experience then during the holiday season. So to have that in mind and that merchandising idea, especially during the middle, excellent lead up. Don't just sit waiting. Yeah, buy it now at the very end. Ah, all right. So next up is my friend Blair Beckwith from Tidio. Blair, can the people hear you?
I sure hope so.
Right, sir.
Is that good?
Over
Awesome.
to you.
Thanks, Aaron. Our one principle today from Tidio is to set up automations to connect with every visitor and increase conversions. So there's so much about Black Friday that's exciting. There's like the build up, the big moment, the after. It can also cause just like a ton of anxiety and stress, especially for brands. So this principle is about what you can do before to make the during and the after more manageable and as easy as possible. And sure, it's about customer service, but it's also about increasing sales, which is actually kind of the same thing when done properly. And Aaron, click. Now, if you're like a lot of brands, this is sort of what your help desk is going to look like during and after Black Friday. During, you're going to have a ton of customers with sort of simple questions, things like, why isn't this product a part of the sale? And some with like real conversations that they want to have about your product. Things like, I had problems with the fit of this dress. How should I be thinking about the sizing for this shirt? And it's so easy to drown in the former at the expense of the latter. So what I want you to do between now and Black Friday is set up as many automations as you can to make sure that you're getting customers what they need, whether that's a simple answer or a thoughtful interaction. Click. Now, a lot of you are probably already using chatbots to handle customer queries. This is great, and you're probably allowing a bunch of your customers to self-serve. If you're not already using these, your customer service platform, whether that's us at Tidio or something else, probably offers something like this, and they're really easy to set up. What I want you to do is take sort of your standard chatbot flows like Bloom has here. They've got, things like shipping and return policies. They've got subscription information that customers can self-serve, and we can tweak that to be sort of more specific to this specific shopping event. Click. So what we have here is really just like a little bit of work to take these common questions and tailor them sort of super specifically to the Black Friday experience. So it's not just talking about shipping policies generally, it's talking about holiday shipping policies. This is something that we see a lot, like you must order this by this date in order to get it for Christmas, right? This is the type of thing that's super important this time of year. It's talking about sale exclusions, something that people always want more information about. Why isn't something a part of a sale and whatnot? And so with really not a whole lot of work, we're able to give customers contextual help around this very specific context of Black Friday. Click. Now, what about sort of less traditional chatbots? Historically, these kind of like point and click chatbots, choose your own adventure chatbots have been like really great at handling sort of the most common questions, but they haven't been so great at having kind of conversations that require a bit more nuance. We've all seen and heard kind of the rise of artificial intelligence. Ricard actually just had a great webinar last month talking all about this. Find the recording if you haven't seen it. And what a lot of these tools do is they take the FAQ content from your site and they can bring it in and custom tailor a chatbot to handle kind of some of these more nuanced conversations. Click. Now, this is just kind of like what that experience looks like at Tidio. Last month, we launched our new AI-powered chatbot called Lyro. It's conversational. It's so easy to set up. We found that customers that interact with Lyro get like 70% of their questions answered. And for that 30% that don't, it's like a very easy handoff to a human who's ready to kind of have that meaningful interaction that drives relationships with your customers. Click. Now, I like to think about questions that customers have in kind of like three buckets. There's like the most common and mundane. There's the highly personal relationship building questions, and there's this sort of like messy middle that makes up a lot of these interactions. And we've sort of always been able to automate the super mundane, and we never want to automate the most personal interactions. But with some like simple automations that we set up, we can get much better at taking care of sort of that messy middle and let us focus on kind of these truly exceptional customer interactions. And that's it for me.
If y'all didn't grab a screenshot of that 1-2 from Bloom, the standard questions that are loaded up in the bubbles to like, let me just go freaking back. You grab this this little switch right here. That's what I'm talking about for one thing. Like, oh, okay, I gotta keep moving, but that little like, just make it easy for the things they're interested during the season. Not, oh my goodness. Okay. Now I will take that out of our next presenter's time because our next presenter is myself. My principle is pretty straightforward. Grow your email and SMS list by any means necessary. Now, anecdotally, we all understand that the value of a customer, particularly the value of an owned customer, an owned communication channel like email, increases exponentially during the holiday season. This is when you send. Back when I was at Common Thread Collective, we ran a large data study and discovered that basically, on average, the value of an email address increases by about 357%. It's 3.5x more valuable during November and December than any other time of the year. We did the same exact thing about a month ago on the SMS front for the value of a phone number and found it's true, only more so, about 5.1x. The value of a phone number, an active phone number, increases during November and December by 5.1x compared to all other times of the year. So this is what I mean by any means necessary. Develop those owned channels. Now, the way you're going to do that is through the traditional pop-up. Now, most pop-ups are not built separately for mobile versus desktop, and the idea of less is more is never more important. Now, I'm sure none of you smart people that are attending this webinar, none of your pop-ups are depending on responsive layouts to adjust what might be a jammed pack field form from desktop into mobile. But if you are, on the off chance that you spot this, and go check out your website in incognito, what I want to walk you through is 3 options for your pop-up on the front end, none of which are actually my one thing. And then I'll close it with my one thing to grow your list by any means necessary. Now, the first is simply reducing the amount of information that you present and keeping the main thing the main thing. One of the recommendations we make with our clients is to actually accelerate, incentivize the SMS with a slightly larger discount. That's because of the slightly larger value of those phone numbers during Black Friday and Cyber Monday. We want to collect them by any means necessary. If your margins can afford that now, get them now. Get that payoff later. On desktop, the simplicity is always going to go email first, then enter your phone number to upgrade your discount. Keep that CTA consistent. On mobile, I'm going to give you 3 options. The first is email first, what is often called direct to text opt-in, which is simply a button inside your mobile pop-up that subscribes by sending someone to their messenger app with a preloaded message, making it very easy for them to confirm the double opt-in, ensure compliance, and recognize a real phone number. What I want to stress on this front, though, when I say by any means necessary, is if you haven't yet tested direct to text versus phone number entry, that is what I want you to start doing today for the next 30 days until you reach statistical significance. It looks like a very small difference here. Upgrade discount as a button versus upgrade discount with a phone number entry. In the case of some of our larger businesses, somebody like Blendjet, this led from a 5% conversion rate to SMS to darn near 10%. Almost doubled their SMS conversion rate by taking away the button, adding in the phone number entry. And this is so dependent on the audience that you serve. There is no such thing as a best practice. You simply have to test. One other test, if you've already ran this through your own system and you know one of these 2 performs better, then what I want to challenge you to do is try again right after this to go and combine the 2. And this is one of the recent feature releases we just unlocked at Recart, which is email that also links directly to that one direct to text message. So someone enters their email, and when they click get 20% via text, it preloads that message for them so they can send it and subscribe. This works especially well at 2 ends of the spectrum. Don't ask me why. Either very young audiences or those in the more geriatric millennial side of things. For some reason, 40 and 50 and beyond absolutely devour the enter email and then direct to text, particularly on mobile. But none of that is my one thing. My one thing I want you to do is go enable SMS marketing at checkout. This is under checkout and accounts inside of your Shopify store underneath settings. You're going to enable SMS marketing to just make this little box available every time somebody checks out. Get that subscriber when they've already purchased, and always, always, always customize that little message at the end, that box that goes with it. It's just going to have a boilerplate entry that Shopify is going to set up for you. Instead, what I want you to do is emphasize, get holiday shipping updates as we go into October and into November. Get holiday shipping updates so you know where those gift packages are, and exclusive holiday-only deals and discounts. That 1-2 combo can again lead to a 2 to 4x increase in this subscribe at checkout to SMS by any means necessary. Enable and customize your SMS at checkout. Then relentlessly test your email and SMS capture. All right. Now, to take us one step further into basically what I just talked about, but the what happens next, from Drip, Lauren Shepard Pastana. Can the people hear you?
I hope so.
There you are.
Thank you very much, Aaron. That was awesome. All right, so I'm going to be talking about crafting 3 email automations to set yourself up for success, BFCM and beyond. So you might be like, why am I talking about automations when BFCM is all about capturing all this traffic? But it's actually one of the most underrated, and I will say often missed things that people do is they don't set up these automations before BFCM. So You don't want BFCM to be an event that's just like one and done. You want to keep these customers, visitors coming back well beyond BFCM and increasing that customer lifetime value. And with that, click. So the first email series that I'm going to talk about today is a welcome series. So this really sets the tone for your brand. So subscribers, you really want to help drive them to make a first purchase here. So the first email is going to be a brand introduction. So you can see the example here, Cabana Canary. It's super bright, super colorful. I feel like I'm in the Florida Keys a little bit. And the second email we have is a product education piece. So that one is going to be if you have a product where you feel like you need to teach people how to use it a little bit. So I'm going to use this example. I have a 9-month-old son, so babies are on my mind a lot these days. If you have like a baby carrier or wrap that you need to teach people how to use, make sure you're doing that in the product education piece. And then lastly, talking a little bit about social proof. So give some examples of customers that have used your product. If you're a skincare product, maybe show some before and after results of that product. And then click. The second email series I'm going to talk about today is cart abandonment. So super important here, obviously, getting shoppers to complete their checkout. So you spend all this time and effort getting people to your store on Black Friday. You want to make sure that when they add those items to cart, they actually complete the purchase. So the first email here is going to be just a reminder. Hey, you left some items in your cart. Make sure to check them out. We recommend in this first email, you withhold the discount. Because oftentimes that is something that people will do is just, leave items in a cart, come back to see if they get a discount. So we recommend withholding it for the first email. For the second one, maybe you want to address some common pain points that they might be experiencing or didn't realize was going to happen in their checkout process. So maybe there's a shipping involved or a longer than expected wait time to receive their items. Just address those up front. And then last but not least, you'll want to do a last chance reminder, which we're going to say, have a discount in that one. We know discounts work, discounts are effective, so make sure you include a discount in that last email follow-up. And then next, we're going to be talking about post-purchase. So this one is super often overlooked. I see people forgetting this a lot, or they'll be using those, generic emails that you can set up in your Shopify instance. So the goal here is to get first-time purchasers to return and make a repeat purchase. So the first email is going to be an order confirmation, making sure they know their order shipped or their order was received. The second one will be a shipping confirmation. So letting people know that order has shipped. The third is a optional, but if necessary, have shipping updates sent to your folks. The last thing that you want is for them to be expecting an order and they just wait and it never comes. So be proactive about that and make sure they know that shipping is taking longer than expected. Fourth would be care instructions. So, maybe you're selling a makeup sponge and people need to know how to care for it to get the longest and most effective use out of that sponge. Make sure you have care instructions included in that email. Then a review request. They bought your product and you want many more people to buy your product. So ask them to show other customers of yours how much you appreciate it, how much they appreciated that product, and get a review request. Now, there is a caveat to that. I will say, make sure that they have had time to actually use that product before you ask them for a review. Because I will say, one of the worst things is like getting a review request like the day you receive a product, or if it's something like, let's say maybe it's like a mattress where it takes a little bit longer for you to figure out if you like that product or enjoying it or not. Maybe you ask for a review a few weeks after receiving the product versus like the first day. And then last but not least, a upsell, cross-sell email. So make sure they know about all the other awesome items that you have to offer. Maybe they're complimentary items. So maybe like they bought a pair of earrings, maybe you tell them they want to buy a necklace from you or something like that. And so my one thing for you to take away is to make sure that you're implementing these different email series right now, so that you're not doing it after Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to make sure that you're making the most of all that traffic and all those purchases that are being made during the holiday season.
Oh, and it's almost like say it again for the people in the back. Cart abandonment, don't lead with a discount. Post-purchase, the only thing you'll ever send your customer that has a 100% open rate is the thing they paid for. The second best is anything you send them between them giving you their money and getting the thing they paid for. Do not sleep on post-purchase. Nicely done on that front. And to actually lead right into the next stage of the journey, the man, the myth, the legend, Adam Robinson from retention.com. Take it away, good sir.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to talk about leveraging intent data to drive more sales through email and SMS. So the types of intent data that I'm going to talk about are, they're basically two things. One is clicks and emails and SMS, and the other one is people moving around your website. Number one, and click again because this has some animation or something. So something that you might not be aware of, there's two reasons why you wouldn't be using intent data. One is you maybe haven't thought about it yet. So Jimmy Kim from SendLane actually pointed this one out to me, and I think it's one of the best uses of intent data there is. If you trigger an automation based upon someone clicking an email or an SMS, it will perform incredibly well. Why? Because those are your highest intent, most engaged people, period, full stop. It's a very easy thing to set up in advance of Black Friday. It even works really well if you have a phone number for them to send an SMS based upon an email click. That's like a totally high engagement, acceptable use case. So that's one kind of, that wasn't what the one thing I was going to recommend, but it's just something that everybody should do. Click. The click is super powerful, not only on emails and SMS, but on your website as well. And I love what Lauren's talking about with the flows. And there's been this huge problem that has been caused by Apple over the last, since iOS 17, but like on April 23rd of this year, it got meaningfully worse. Drip, Klaviyo, Meta, everybody used to use a tracking pixel and it used to last for 2 years. Now it lasts for 7 days. The problem is, if Drip can't identify your customer, they can't actually send these great abandonment flows that, click again, are the personalization at massive scale that we all want. You need an identity tool to do that. So this is the other type of intent data that I am basically suggesting that that gets enabled. It's people doing things on your website, but the signal was getting stopped for one reason or another. So click one more. The thing that I would recommend to everybody, and this goes along with what Aaron said, it may not be exactly what you intended with your message, but you said grow your email list and SMS list at any cost. So I'm not talking about SMS, but I can do this for emails. If someone hits your website and does not fill out a form, we can resolve that to a deliverable email address and pass it to your ESP so you can start a welcome series to those people. It's US only. It's legal. We can show you how to do it safely. You can email me at adam@retention.com if you have any further questions. I'm happy to jump on a separate call. We don't need to waste that time here. So that is my one piece of advice for everybody. If you didn't know that was a possibility, it is possible. Dr. Squash actually implemented this 90 days before Black Friday. They generated over 1 million of revenue, and it was 5% of their total revenue from this one strategy that I just explained over the entire Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. And that's the example. So click. In summary, use identity recapture tools to connect your anonymous website visitors to real people. You can do that both to grow your email list and to expand the audience of triggered email and SMS flows that we all know are the most effective things you could possibly send. Over and out.
Any means necessary. Yes.
I mean, you said it, not me.
I'll say it. I'll whisper it this time. Yeah, absolutely. All right. 2 more on deck. Next is Adam Folkman from Rise.ai talking to us. Can we hear you?
I think so.
There it is. All right.
Thank you very much, Adam. That was great. And Aaron, thank you for hosting this. Super excited to be here with you all today. My name is Adam Folkman. I'm leading the business development and partnerships front here at Rise AI. And today I'll be taking I'll be talking about my own thing to prepare for your holiday season, which is unleash the full potential, full buying potential of your BFCM shoppers with store credit. You can click that, Aaron. So how do you do that? I took in Sam from South Park here. So let's dive in. Another click. As you can assume, new customers can make up around 20 to 30% of a D2C brand's total online sales during Black Friday, which is nuts. And you should definitely tap into these newcomers by creating stickiness upon their first purchase. Click. With Rise AI's store credit workflows, you can set a first purchase workflow that takes advantage of that idea right out of the box. And you can actually easily customize it tailored to your business needs. So margin, industries, AOVs, etc. So on the left, you can find a couple of examples of our customers. And on the bottom, you can find Value Furniture's offerings. So as soon as you make your first purchase, you get $20 in store credit directly into your Value Furniture store credit wallet, which creates a great first impression for the shopper, because not only it doesn't dilute Value Furniture's brand as it has cash value rewards rather than a discount, but it also establishes brand loyalty right out of the bat and significantly increases the chances for the first-time purchasers that will turn into repeat customers. So you can actually double down on that, to be honest, by setting an expiration date with a reminder to redeem that credit before the shipping cutoffs, let's say, and eventually winning twice. Click. So the second suggestion is that you shouldn't sleep on gift cards. In 2022, gift cards were the most purchased online product in the world during the holiday season. According to our data, in terms of industry average, they're accountable for approximately around those 0.5% of total sales, and it can go up to 4 and 5% during holiday season. Click. And as we see with our customers, Rise AI can double that and even triple that. So we're leading the Shopify's ecosystem in terms of the gift card realm. We're working with the top Shopify Plus brands, as you can see, Allbirds, Skims, and some of them are here as well. And based on our experience, to make the most out of this fundamental product during BFCM gift card, you can set a buy one, get one campaign, hitting two birds with one stone. So increase demand of buying gift cards by rewarding the buyer with a gift card, where that way they'll know they're getting something for themselves once they give a gift card to someone else. And as we love to say in Arise, kind of a cliche, gifting is receiving. So my last suggestion I have for you is to make sure that your first line of defense has what it needs to ensure customer satisfaction. Black Friday and the holiday season in general, bringing, as we all know, an influx in visitors and orders. So store credit as a form of compensation can convert these high friction cases into revenue boosting opportunities. Now, one of our customers, Dr. Squatch, as Adam mentioned further, a mutual customer, not only capitalized on a smooth store credit refund flow to prevent revenue loss, they also used our bulk store credit to immediately issue store credit to customers. Using store credit as a form of an operational tool, reducing basically friction to their support team, and simultaneously produce a seamless and satisfying experience for every single customer. Now, as you can see on the slide, during the holiday season, they've issued more than almost $300,000 in store credit and generated over $100,000 in upsell revenue on top of that used credit. Click. So even though these three suggestions are touching day-to-day activities with your business, new visitors, gift cards, customer supports, it's super easy to miss the growth opportunities they're providing. So essentially, they're all related to your shoppers. So if you do one thing, the one thing you should take away is that put your customers in the center and keep them coming back. You can do that with Rise AI through a store credit platform that captures all customer engagement activities from gift card to store credit, eventually boosting customer experiences.
Yo, I don't know how long that was. That might have been the most robust 5 minutes or so I've ever heard on store credits across those three. Oh, okay then. Rounding us out. And let me say last but not least, as we head into the holiday season, Farah Boeing from Rewind. And I've got stories of my own. Yeah. Farah, over to you.
I'm looking forward to hearing those. Well, I'm here to highlight an important principle that could actually prevent you from losing revenue as well as damaging your brand and customer experience. Today, I'm going to take you through tools and techniques that leading merchants like Glossier, Hasbro, NYX, Princess Polly, and Rothy's, and more use to prevent, detect, and recover from disruption. Click. So Black Friday and Cyber Monday is like the Super Bowl for e-commerce brands. And just as pro sports teams have backups on the bench, so too do the best online stores. During peak shopping times, the stakes are higher if your site goes down. With so many changes and updates happening simultaneously, the risk of errors also increases. Before they became a Rewind customer, Whisker Seeker added a bulk import of changes that accidentally deleted their entire product catalog permanently. And it was just 3 days before Black Friday. The reality is that e-commerce platforms don't come with an undo button. It's your responsibility to back up your own store. And that's why it's important to have a solid backup and recovery strategy. A tool like Rewind Backups automatically backs up your Shopify or BigCommerce store in real time. If something goes wrong, you can restore anything from a single image to the entire store with just a few clicks. Click. The worst feeling is when a customer reaches out to say they're having trouble checking out on your store. Before becoming a Rewind customer, Crossrope made an update to their theme code at the end of the workday. It wasn't until the next morning that they learned that their customers were not able to add products to their cart. It took 24 hours of work to get back up and running, but those lost sales could never be restored. So wouldn't it have been better if Crossrope had found out sooner that their add to cart was broken? Then they would have been able to implement a fix a lot quicker, and especially if they'd had automatic backups in place. And the revenue impact would have been a lot less. You can do this by implementing automated flow testing to constantly monitor key flows and alert you if something is broken. Now, what if your e-commerce platform or one of the third-party apps that your site relies on goes down? You can set up monitoring for that too. So you'll find out first and can respond by turning off your ad campaigns or postponing a marketing push. Rewind offers a tool that notifies you of broken website flows, as well as Shopify and third-party app outages. It's called Rewind Monitor, and it's part of Rewind Protection Suite. Click. A badly formed CSV import, a bug in an app you rely on, or a simple human error can cause unintended changes that can disrupt your store. That's why top merchants use a data alerting system to bring your attention to suspicious changes so you can check whether or not it was intentional. For example, if 75% of your products have been edited within the last 10 minutes, wouldn't you want to know? Rewind Alerts, also part of Rewind Protection Suite, is a data alerting system specifically for e-commerce merchants. It provides email and SMS notifications along with a detailed change history report. So making significant changes, go back to the last one.
No, we got to move ahead. Tackle it.
Okay, sure. Making significant changes directly to your live store is risky. You never know what can happen. Theme code edits, installing a new app, or changing your product catalog can all have unintended consequences. So the only way to know for sure is to thoroughly test in an environment as close to your live store as possible. A theme copy is not enough. Leading merchants maintain a staging copy of their live store to safely test changes and make sure there are no issues before going live. An effective way to do this is with the Rewind staging app. So today I've shown you how to prevent, detect, and recover to help prevent your store from losing lost sales due to mistakes and downtime. It can actually be very easy to do. It can be as simple as just installing Rewind Protection Suite, which is this bundle of products that I've mentioned in the presentation, backups, monitor, alerts, and staging. And having a strategy like this in place will shorten the time from issue to recovery so you can stay online longer and turn more traffic into checkouts. Click.
Outstanding. Thank you, especially for the quick adjustment. All right, now, I'll tell you what. we are going to take down that screen so I can see all of your wonderful faces. We got a few questions coming in, but we also did get a smattering of questions before this whole thing kicked off. So I'm going to throw out a few of the questions that came in. I'll tag a few of our speakers to sort of quick round hot take them along the way, and anyone else can jump in. Do drop any questions you might have from the rest of the presentation. But number one, this was a great one that I got via my Twitter, which was, what is the most underrated Black Friday tactic? And what I'm thinking here is the person means like maybe a lot of hype, but not a lot of payoff. Underrated tactic, and then the underrated and most overrated. That'd be the lots of hype, not a lot of payoff. Underrated and overrated. So I'm going to kick this over to Lauren first for underrated, overrated.
Yeah, I can take that. So I would say most underrated take is that you should actually be focusing just as much on retention as you should be focused on acquisition for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So I think the stat is like 20% of your customers are responsible for 50% of your revenue. So go after those customers, go after your existing customers just as much as you're acquiring to increase lifetime value. And I will say, okay, the inverse of that overrated take is this focus on acquisition is just like new customers all of the time. That's very expensive and you're competing with a lot of people out there. So I would say definitely focus a lot more on those existing customers that you have, or at least just as much as you're focusing on new ones.
You know, so like get their email and their SMS, and if you can,
yeah,
resolution. yeah, exactly. Some of that any means necessary stuff. Sean, especially with your breadth of being able to look across, you got an underrated, overrated tactic for us?
Yeah. On the underrated side, I think we've seen an explosion in brands collaborating in recent years, but I still think there's a lot of opportunity there for brands to really look in the mirror and say, we are actually good enough to do a collaboration with. And that can apply definitely to the smaller end of brands that say, how can we gain visibility? Who can we work on it? And I realize there's a huge lift sometimes to do product dev with another brand, but maybe it's just even cross promotion or doing other things, especially leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Is there a way where you can access somebody else's customer base there? So I would say that still remains underrated. On the overrated side, I think people have to be more careful with their deep discounting strategies. And I think that, you really got to consider if you want your product to be a discounted product and if you want your brand to be a discounted brand. And so is that initial gain that you're going to get during Black Friday, Cyber Monday going to set you up for success in the long term and really build those long-term customers? And maybe in an alternative way, I know we're talking about gift cards and things like that. I think there's a lot of ways to imply a discount or imply a special deal without necessarily cutting deep into your profits with bundling or with some low-cost things like a product personalization or something else that can leave those customers saying, yeah, this was a hot deal. I felt special buying this, but I may not have saved 30% off and ultimately cost the company profits.
Especially understanding that overlap, I would say, in December of end of year inventory, new year purchasing, and that moment between the two when it makes all the sense in the world to differentiate your discount by SKU versus site-wide, whereas the simplicity of site-wide hits so hard when it comes to Cyber Monday, Black Friday. But in December, using that holiday moment, that's still impetus to purchase, but being very aware of where we overstock, where we understock, where can we leverage and make something rather than nothing while still protecting the overall margins. Yeah, and I imagine I'd almost want to like throw Adam into that as well from Rise.ai on the store credit side of things.
I was about to say to Sean, preach that, Sean, give that preach. Yeah, the basically store discounts kind of dilute a brand's entity, especially when we're talking about in high value products that the brand is selling. And store credit and gift cards in general as a form of a reward or a cashback can basically keep that brand language and prestige in a way, but at the same time, give them this special treat on top.
While protecting margins, while pushing that whole, I was doing this during your presentation, like the comeback, that sort of thing, which goes right into what was just talked about as well by Lauren. Okay, we got a big picture question that came in, and it's is this year's holiday sales for e-commerce, right, going to be bigger or smaller than 2022? So we've all sort of rode this wave that felt like it was capping last year, and there's a lot of question marks around what is the nature, the size of this holiday season going to be. So I'm going to toss this over to Blair first, and then over to Adam Robinson. Blair, what's your take on bigger or smaller going into this season?
Oh man. I mean, I think it's like the safest thing ever to say bigger, honestly. I'm prepared to be wrong and eat my words on that, but I don't know. I live deep in the suburbs, and the number of people I see around me still buying new cars every year, still doing 2-year leases on new models. Not to diminish people that are being hurt by like the recession and the economic situation, right? Like there's a lot of people who are being hurt, but there's still a lot of money flowing. Like it is. I was talking to a buddy who flies planes. He's like a commercial pilot, and he's like every plane is full. People still got so much money to blow on trips. So if they got money to blow on trips, I think they got money to blow on stuff they don't need on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That's my take.
Adam, where you sit with this?
Yeah, I think. Am I unmuted? Yeah, cool. I think the consumer has one last gasp here. And we'll see about next year, but and I also think that there's, if we're talking about like direct consumer Shopify-ish brands, there may be some like a selection bias to the type of consumer that's buying these very niche, kind of somewhat high-end, like maybe they're outperforming the broader economy, and therefore the audience of this webinar will actually have kind of like a better Black Friday relatively than like somebody who's serving a different sector of the segment of the economy, if that makes sense. Like if you're buying, like BlendJet's a great example. Like if you're in the market for like a $65 like blender that you drink out of, that's, that person who buys that is probably doing pretty well right now.
And especially the higher the price point, the AOV, and you're right, that niche overlap between I'm shopping for the thing that I want versus the thing that I need. That's a really good distinction to make. I would say as well, No Commerce has been releasing what I believe they call the Consumer Confidence Index for D2C, and they put this on top of their post-purchase surveys across this enormous swath of e-commerce businesses online. And they're releasing week over week data, the D2C Consumer Confidence Index. The other piece I would say for brands in particular is depending on the seasonality of your product, but 80% of cases, Labor Day is going to be the leading indicator of how Black Friday is going to perform, looking at year over year. So if you're not, so to comp, to think about from the wider perspective, how does that perform? Follow the data, but also from yourself, comping 2022 to 2023, Labor Day in particular is a moment that often is very reflective of whatever that percentage increase is, can be a leading indicator going into as you think about inventory planning in particular. So pay careful attention to what goes down this week and next in your e-commerce business. All right, let's go common mistakes. This is a great one. And then we'll grab some of these questions that just came in. Common mistakes you see people make before and during Black Friday. Farah, I know this has got to be like just an absolute freaking layup. And I got one for you too, actually. But common mistake.
Absolutely. So, I mean, 90% of data breaches are caused by human error. So I would say that human error is definitely the most common mistake that we see at Rewind. And then particularly not having an up-to-date backup that you can restore to when those mistakes do happen. One of the top ones that we see time and time again is when a merchant is importing a CSV file that has some errors in it. It's so easy to make mistakes when you're editing a CSV, and when you import that, those mistakes can just be catastrophic. It can change your pricing, it can delete products. So my advice to you guys is do not import a CSV unless you have a backup in place, especially if you're leading up to the holidays.
And there's so many, I mean, gosh, those, slippery fingers, slippery thumbs, that sort of thing. I saw this happen twice during my first year at Shopify Plus, when Shopify Plus was just sort of leaning into becoming a fully fledged enterprise offering. I watched it on the front lines go down for that exact reason. And my mistake, so I'll share this one, because what I was going to say the mistake is, and I swear on everything holy, Rewind did not slip me $20 before this. The number one mistake I was going to say is just if you don't install Rewind, that's it. Because it's such a, so back in the day, I literally accidentally deleted every single image across every Shopify blog because we were installed on Shopify as the CMS. And I learned the hard way. So I come by this very honestly to say the mistake is, without a backup, I was one of those people that got caught slipping. And oh my gosh, the embarrassment, the global cache got cleared. And for us, it was just images across blogs, and it was incredibly painful. I don't know what that would be like when your business is dependent upon these sort of things, especially going into a big moment. So we can round that out. I think, Lauren, you got a question about initiating a post-purchase interaction with another discount coupon. Is it okay to initiate a post-purchase interaction with another discount coupon?
I will say, if it makes sense for your business in terms of profit margins, all of that, by all means, use a discount, but I wouldn't initiate the post-purchase series with a discount. I would introduce your brand, social proof, anything you want to do. I might have the discount as being the last thing in the series. I would never lead with a discount. So that's my advice.
Yeah, don't initiate, don't lead. And it depends. Such a good answer. Yeah, we got another question here. Might be applying to Lauren or Adam Robinson. If we have a small pool of subscribers, 1,500 or so, how often should we be sending out newsletters during BFCM and the holidays? So smaller size list, what is the threshold that you typically recommend?
I'll throw in my 2 cents.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I think you're safe to send daily in the really hot periods. I wouldn't, maybe on the peak twice a day, but I wouldn't go about that. And then I would stop after the peak sending, super frequently. But your subscribers are expecting to get email from you over Black Friday, period.
Lauren, any agree, disagree, push even harder?
I would say it just, again, it depends on your business. I don't think there's anything wrong with daily at that point, but I would keep an eye on unsubscribes and just engagement in general. If you see people unsubscribing, maybe pump the brakes a little. Yeah.
Okay. If you're something like 1.5 to 2x, your typical unsubscribe rate, if you start to hemorrhage, pull back.
Yeah.
Maybe I put words in your mouth just then, didn't I? You might not.
There you go.
Hemorrhage, pull back. But oh my gosh. Yeah. Daily, multi-daily. And then honestly, Adam, what you said earlier about using the click data inside of email and SMS to inform almost the threshold, the capacity for additional emails, and using that information, especially when it's combined with clicked but didn't purchase and didn't abandon cart. If someone's interacting with the messages you're sending them, and they're not making the purchase and not abandoning a cart, that is a really clear signal for you that they are ready to take more, and especially to tie that to very similar offers. If you're going from email to SMS versus MMS, right? You can keep it shorter and more simple, and just use those automated follow-ups to really push into, this is interest that hasn't been capitalized on yet. Signal, go after it. That's the direction I'd really push, rather than the general, how far can I push my entire list? How can I get smart about really going after and setting up these automations for they showed intent? And you're right. That's when the results really kick into high gear, is when you're responding to what someone has done. All right, we are just about out of time. And I have got one of the questions that came in, and I like this one, was about a resource besides your own, or from someone on this panel. So somebody was trying to get us to not hawk our own wares. Good on you, whoever dropped this in. A resource you'd recommend. I'm going to drop one to start. We'll actually solicit this from our speakers to send in the follow-up as well, because we're going to send you out the recording, the deck, links to them to reach out with any additional questions you might have in the next 24, 48 hours. If they drop in any additional resources, I just want to give one from my alma mater, Common Thread Collective, and basically say, if you read one piece, one guide on the holiday season this year, this one's an absolute banger. And the idea is there are four peaks within the one peak of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, these peaks throughout the year of seasonality. And they actually break it down into things like the early bird offer versus Black Friday versus Cyber Monday versus the shipping cutoffs, and how to think about crafting specific offers for these four moments within the one big moment. 4 peaks within the peak. Anybody else have a resource that they've got teed up that they also want to drop before we say thank you and shut this puppy down?
I got one. My buddies at Triple Whale just created a free plan. So if you want visibility into what's actually going on in your business, it's now free, which is pretty cool.
And I've seen that on no less than 3 like tool lists that just came out, the free offering across the board. Yeah, good one. Excellent. We'll include that in our list. And guess who's going to be in one of our upcoming events? That's right. Triple Whale is going to be there too. So way to go, Mr. Robinson. As for everybody else, you're going to get the invites to our next one coming up at the end of September, as well as October. You're going to hear from us with the recording and the deck and any additional questions. You're going to hear from all these speakers. Don't hesitate to reach out. Just hit reply to that email or look us up on social. Thank you so much for joining us, and can't wait to see you next time. Big round of applause and thank you to all of our presenters. Thanks for letting us into your life today and for letting me into your lives for the last couple of weeks. All right. See everybody soon.